Hi, and welcome to episode 55 of the Austin Downbeat. I'm Kat, your host. Thank you for joining me today. I have another good one for you. Throw a rock and hit a talented person here in the city. So I'm very excited about this one. But first, let's do a rundown of who's playing, just some of who's playing this week in Austin. May 23rd through the 29th. Let's go. On Tuesday, the 23rd, you have two awesome acts at Sagebrush. You have Jordan Matthew Young and you have Betty Sue. On Wednesday, the 24th, if you haven't seen Brian Wolf perform with his howlers, get your butt over to the Far Out Lounge on Wednesday, the 24th, and go see them. They are really, really good. On Thursday, the 25th, you have your weekly show at the Saxon Pub with Pack, five gorgeous, talented ladies. Patrice Pike is at the Saxon Pub. And then at the Mohawk, you have the Hot Luck Fest, and you have Shiny Ribs, Natalie Price, and Ramsey Midwood over there at the Mohawk. That sounds like a great night. On Friday, the 26th, you have Scott Strickland at Mozart's Coffee. And then my pal Johnny Gowdy playing with his awesome cover band Skyrocket. They're at 310 ACL. On the 27th, which is Saturday, Bree Bagwell is part of the Lone Star Jam 2023. Tony Camel will be at the Ghost Note Brewing. And you have a 2-day or a day and a half event with my guest last week with Sims. They have their Feel Good Fest, and that is on May 27th and 28th at Far Out Lounge. Blanking on that again. That's called the Feel Good Fest. Lots of things happening at that festival, but this is their very first festival. I'm very excited about that, and I hope to see you there. But still staying on Saturday, the 27th, my guest today is Courtney Santana, and she'll be playing at Monk's Jazz Club that night. Let's hop over to the 28th, which is Sunday. Ruthie Kraft is at Geraldine's. And on Monday, you have your residencies. Pat Burns doing a new residency at Saxon Pub. If you haven't seen him, go see him. Bob Schneider does his residency there at Saxon Pub as well. You have Monday Night Supper Club. I personally got to hug Ben Jones last night, so I know he's back. So be sure to stop by El Mercado South one of these days for a Monday Night Supper Club. They're super fun, and you get to eat. So what's better than that? My guest today is the gorgeous and powerful and probably never still Courtney Santana. She and I could be the same person. I feel like we are so similar in a lot of ways. But this woman has been performing, whether it's dance, live theater, singing music for over 3 decades, and she does not look like she like that could be true. You've seen her play with Shiny Ribs. You'll catch her at Monk's Jazz Club. This woman can sing, and she also is doing such amazing work outside of singing that definitely kind of brings it all together. She's working with Music Hill to do some nonprofit work. She also does Survive to Thrive Foundation, which is just amazing, gorgeous work that she does with that. She's written a book, she's writing another book, and we are so lucky that she's actually finally going to put out some of her own music over the next, I think next year technically, but she's putting it together as we speak. So we're very lucky. I really appreciate her sitting down and talking with me and getting to know her. She is a beautiful, beautiful person inside and out. So without further ado, my guest, Courtney Santana. I'm so happy to welcome you, Courtney Santana, to the show. Thanks so much for
Hi.
being on. Hi.
Hi.
Long time no see. I've been looking forward to talking to you.
Yeah.
Um, you and I met, and I want to genuinely want to know more about Music Hill.
hmm
But that's where you and I met, and it was such a spontaneous thing because I live 4 minutes away from there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And like literally I drive past the entrance every day to and from, school and work and all that stuff. And so I had no idea that that was there. And during South by Southwest, you guys did this West by Southwest sort of thing, and it caught my eye, and I was like, hey, I'm West and I'm down for not having to go downtown yet again.
Yeah, that's everybody's. It's like, you know what? I know this is music, but not having to drive downtown is bomb. It's
I
amazing.
know. So what do you do there with them at Music Hill?
I'm helping them to put together a nonprofit that focuses on the sustainability of artists,
Okay.
um, whether it be music, multimedia, actual visual artists, any type of artist.
Yeah.
How do you have a sustainable living in Austin, Texas today? Uh,
Have you cracked that
code.
code? Because I think about that too.
Yes. Well, I mean, anybody that is a creative or is in some sort of, economy that relies on a good economy, no pandemics, all of those things that, that are conducive to being a successful artist, musician, whatever.
Yeah.
You actually do that with your talent, but as well as the resources that are available in the community. So our goal is to connect um, these people with those resources and then create community around it. Because as much as we're the live music capital of the world, a lot of us don't know each other. And it
Yeah.
would be nice for us to know each other, especially if we're working and we're out doing what we do. We don't have opportunities to just meet and greet and share our
Yes.
lives together.
Yeah, a couple things on that. Number
Yeah.
one, I love it when I find out that people that I love and know, like that other people that they know each other. And I'm always so excited. We're like, oh, yay, you know that person. I want more of that. That's
Yeah.
number one. I love that. Number two, is it a lack of resources to connect artists with, or is it just an information flow problem as far as connecting?
I think it's an information flow problem.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I think that Austin is probably one of the best cities in the country as far as resources that are available and actually, tuning programming with nonprofits into, what are the circumstances that a lot of musicians face. But because we are musicians and creatives, a lot of times it's like we don't really go out and look for this information. And I find that when I go places, it's like I see the same faces over and over again. It's not new faces coming in saying, I heard about this program. It's like word of mouth, only if you know this specific group of people. So
Yeah.
we'd like to make it so that all the resources are available in one
One
place
spot.
and folks can, get a good sampling of that, even if they're not necessarily in the crowd that gets all that information at one time.
I was just sitting on my balcony thinking about this not even 2 days ago of going like we need to get a think tank together and identify what first of all what constitutes an artist and the varying types of artists, right? So that we're really catching everyone. Number two, really unpacking and peeling back what an artist needs to survive in this city. Start with the city and then ultimately make this whole conversation templative, right? And but to really I'm sure people are doing this, but I just find myself, because I think about this stuff a lot, like we
Right.
really do need to have a bit of a think tank and really identify what we need to do. And then whether it's creating legislature, I'm not a big fan of like, hey, here's $1,000 grant. To
Right.
me, that feels a bit of a band-aid. I'm more into foundational change and more of like, let's actually fix the problem.
Mhm.
But this is awesome that you're doing that. Sounds like you're already doing it. I
Well,
love
I
that.
mean, I just know all my friends, they're dealing with, they never rebounded from when all their gigs and all their events got canceled at the beginning of COVID. When you have a gig like economy where it's very transactional, it's like I do this for you and you pay me, and then all those opportunities go away. What do you do in that moment when you weren't expecting this? Like it wasn't like we had time to plan for this. So
No.
now we're all just kind of rebounding from it. And some just never did. Some just left the city. Some of them are, still struggling with, I lost revenue for those 2 years, because it was 2 years that they weren't getting, because everybody changed, people who were supporting them, as far as patrons, they went away, and like the ways that they were supporting them probably lessened or diminished because they were trying to take care of themselves. So the goal is, I don't want any more musicians becoming, homeless or getting evicted simply because they don't know where the resources are. So I hope that we can put them all in one think tank, like you were talking about, and
Love
really
that.
have a conversation. And the other point is, the musicians in Austin are the largest. If they were to mobilize and to coordinate, they would be the largest voting bloc in the city.
Wow.
Mhm.
So much potential power to really tap into, and also aggregate all that information so that we could help, just create a foundation and create just a solid, sustainable life. And again, I say what you said all the time earlier. If we are the live music capital of the world, our musicians should be pretty close to the top of the pyramid as far as priority goes. People love Austin and they love to come visit and they love to say they live here. Even if
Right.
they don't even secretly love the weird thing, they still brag about it, I bet. And I agree with you. I feel super passionate about it as well. Like, yeah. Um, that's so cool that you're doing that. That makes me excited to find out more. Can you tell us more about that nonprofit that you're working with? Is there stuff that's ready to kind of launch and make public, or is it still sort of in the building? I would imagine it's hard work.
It's a lot of hard work, and we're still building the idea. I'm trying to get a lot of community allies and organizations to sign on with us, because we're not going to create like the full system. The idea is to connect a lot of the nonprofits that already exist and maybe get some of their programming and say, have you geared that towards musicians?
Right.
Or there are nonprofits that are geared towards musicians, artists, all of the creative community at large, and say, hey, listen, we need you to amplify more. How can we amplify your message and help you to get this word out about what it is you can do in the community? Because I feel like the more people who are involved in that process and actually saying, okay, this is what we need and this is where all the resources are, it'll build a stronger community for the folks in Austin. So
Mhm.
we're gonna be, the hope is to be the hub. We're gonna have some programming that is specific to us, but mostly it's gonna be collecting our community partners and resources that are already available in the city.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. Love it. You read my mind.
Why start
Count.
another nonprofit? There's so many nonprofits already. We just need to say, hey, you got that? I need that. So help us with that.
Yeah. And count me in as a supporter in any way, shape, and we can talk about that later. I just spoke with this week. My episode is with Patsy Dolan Baressa, who's the executive director of Sims Foundation, and talk about an amazing foundation that supports specifically and directly to musicians and their families. And I think she said that there's 130 nonprofits in Austin, something like that. Maybe not all geared to musicians, but there's a lot of nonprofits to back up what you were saying. So it's very smart before you start a new one. Let's see what we like, kind of shop within our house and see what we
It's
have.
like me. I have a thing of buying things over and over again without just going and saying, maybe if you just pick up that box, it might be underneath that box and you don't have to go and buy another hammer or another whatever. It's like we could
Yes.
just have conversations and build a better, bigger program. I'm on the board of Sins Foundation and I absolutely adore them. So
Yeah.
whatever Patsy says, I second and
Third.
triple.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Yeah, I'm the same way as you. I'm like, before I buy something to like decorate, I'll like see what I have in the rooms that maybe I want to move around or whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I love doing that. Okay, good. We're so like, whew. What are you up to? So I feel like you're up to a lot of things. So where do we even begin with you?
I know that's the big thing right now. It's crazy. I've gone through this period of my life. I was in this ideation period where I was figuring out the world's problems, and I was super inspired and motivated to create um new ways and systems of making things happen. And That was probably in 2017. And I'll go even further back. In 2001, my children and I found ourselves in the domestic violence shelter here. My son was 8 months and my daughter was 2 years. And I lived there for about close to 6 months, almost 7 months. And after I left, I just decided that that was my tribe. Those were my people. I felt pretty rudderless for the first part of my life. I was told I was going to be a lawyer, so that's what I was doing. And this period of abuse came up in my life, and it really redefined who I was and what I felt like my purpose was. So after I left the shelter with my kids, I just started doing work around domestic violence advocacy and support resources. And I started Survive to Thrive Foundation back in 2006, but it was a much, much simpler thing. We did quality of life improvement stuff in the shelter and through parties. But then when I realized that there were some bigger issues at hand as far as how victims receive resources from different communities, whether it be women, men, our transgender community, our gay community, how were they receiving resources and what was happening to them if they couldn't? That became my ultimate purpose, and Survive to Thrive took on this life of its own to provide resources to displaced and unhoused victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. So
wow.
Yeah. So I started a nonprofit for that. And out of that came a tech company that provides a hotel safety net. So if you're a service provider, say you're a police officer and you want to place somebody in a hotel in the middle of the night after you pick them up from a rape crisis call or a domestic violence call, you can use our app to find available hotel spaces that the city is paying for. So the victim never has to pay for it.
Wow.
I've been doing that. That's my day. That's what I do in the daytime.
Wow.
Yeah.
What amazing work. And I was just saying this the other day too about how like no matter how much shit you might go through, there's
Right.
always gold in it. And
Mm.
I've been experiencing that in my personal life right now, and
Yeah.
really kind of being forced to kind of look for the gold because I know it's there. And I just really commend you and just such respect and admiration for choosing that, because I wouldn't say that that's necessarily everybody's path or ability, or to be like in the midst of going through something that hard that sounds that difficult to then go,
Yeah.
I'm gonna use my energy to make change. That's pretty powerful stuff. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit like, keep talking because I'm a little bit speechless.
Well, it's just like, I thought about it, and I used to go to this church a long time ago, and their outreach pastor said, God doesn't waste pain. And I always think about that because I'm just like, that can translate to, the universe, whatever deity, whatever higher power, even if you don't believe in a higher power, you can look at something and say, there is some good that can come out of this.
Yeah.
And someone that, you know what, you and I can have this conversation, and within 20 minutes, we'll run into something that you and I both have in common that either one of us is healed from or is healing from. And it's going to either bless me or it's going to give us some sort of insight. It connects us. We all go through those things. So I feel like, every time I run into a survivor, I'm excited for them because it's an opportunity for them to take that really tough time in their lives, because mine was really, really tough. I mean, I went from, the abuse, the actual physical abuse, to the mental abuse, to the financial abuse, and then being homeless with my kids, to living a life where I get to support people that look like me and they have kids like mine, and I can speak to them from a place of true street cred. I'm not treating them like a number. I'm not treating them like somebody who doesn't relate to the absolute shit that they have to go through on a regular basis, because I totally get it. And
Yeah.
I'm passionate for them in a different way than somebody who didn't go through the thing. So I got to be here for that.
Bless you. I mean, yeah, I don't even have anything to say other than thank you for doing that so much.
We got a lot of work. I'm going to ask you to do some work with me because
I'm
never ending.
happy to. Happy to. Okay, so there's that. So there's Survive to Thrive. That is then, and then are you working on ways just because you're also obviously a beautiful voice and you're a singer and you have such power inside of you, which hello, you know, we can all tell that by now. And just when I met you, I just felt like I don't know, you know, it was like instant hug, you know, I just felt this, "Oh, I need to hug this woman. I don't know you, but
Brilliant.
so
Yeah.
you
I get that a
also,
lot.
yeah, gonna tackle you next time I see you. Um, so you also sing and you do you sent me a video and you were you opening up or what were you doing with Hootie and the Blowfish
This is crazy.
on
Okay,
that
so
stage?
you're what my life here recently, especially with music, I find that when, and you probably can relate to this, is like if you focus on something in your life, like you're great at all these things, but if you
Yeah.
decide, okay, I'm gonna really focus on this one thing, like doors just start opening. And
Mhm.
this, I've been writing music since 2000. I started writing music when my abuse started, which is kind of crazy. I just started
Yeah.
writing pen to paper, journaling, and getting all that down.
Yeah.
And then, but I've never released my own album. And I've been in like 4 or 5 bands since that time. And I just never felt comfortable enough to actually put out my own music. So I, in the last year, just decided, you know what, it's time. If you're going to do it when your knees are still good and you can handle. If you go on to a girl, like every morning I wake up, I'm just like, oh, everything is sore. So I'm just trying to, you know, do
Same.
it while I still can. So I said, okay, now it's the time to do it. And I started putting my own music. I started writing with Danny Golden last year. Just trying to decide, okay, Courtney, you're gonna do your own album. Because I've been on 28 albums. All my other friends' albums I've sung on their albums. And
Yeah.
I've been in theater and live music for a really long time in Austin. So this is my first step out. But okay, this all goes to the other story I was gonna tell you. So I decided I was gonna do this music festival last year in Mexico, and it was so cool and so much fun that I did it again this year.
Mhm.
And while I was there, I met this gentleman. Everybody was like, "Oh, Mark Bryan's here. Mark Bryan's here," and I was like, "I don't know who that is." So I was just like, "Okay, Mark Bryan's here." Anyway, so I'm singing in one of the clubs that's part of the festival in Mexico, and he walks up, he's like, "I'm Mark Bryan, nice to meet you." And I was like, "Oh, good to meet you." And I'm like, "I've heard a lot about you. I have no idea who you are and why I should know who you are." But I do. So we sat down and talked. I still didn't know, girl. I didn't know who he was until after I left the festival. I guess I didn't Google, I didn't ask, but he is the founding guitarist for Hootie and the Blowfish.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Well, there
And
you
he,
go.
there it is. You never know. You got to kind of open your mouth. But I was in Mexico singing my own music,
Uh-huh.
and he heard it and was just like, "You got to come and sing and be a part of this event we're doing in Myrtle Beach. And I want to write music with you." So he and I have started this blushing new relationship of writing some music. And I have a single that's going to come out that Mark and I wrote together. So I'm connected to the Hootie crew, he and Darius and Sonny and Dean.
When's it coming out?
So I'm trying to decide if it's going to be my first single or if it's going to be my second single, but either way, it'll be out before the end of this year. So I'm
Oh,
putting out a single in August, and then I'm going to put out one 2 months later, and then another 2 months later, and then I'm going to do a full CD launch in April of next year.
that's so exciting. How do you feel? Because this has been quite a thing a coming. So
Yeah.
what are all the feelings that you're having?
I'm excited because I was just like, I had imposter syndrome big time. I was just like, what are you
Mm.
doing?
What?
Yeah. Why you just sing everybody else's songs? Don't put your thoughts out there so people can judge you and say, oh. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do it. And then I started testing a couple of the songs that I wrote. I mean, I've literally been working on some of these songs for almost 6 years.
Mhm.
And I took them and started playing them out, and people were like, "That was a great song. Is that your song?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I wrote that song." They're like, "We want to hear an album of all those songs," and I'm like, "Okay." So
Okay.
Okay, guys, okay,
Okay.
okay.
Like Sally Field, they like me. They really like me.
They really like me. Yeah, I just felt like I have a song on the radio. I don't know. I felt like I was long past my pop star days, and it was just, go back somebody else up that sings really good music. But I feel like now I'm feeling pretty confident. People are liking my music. And when I was in Mexico, they were singing it back to me. So I was like,
Oh,
this is it. So now I'm
it's
addicted.
important, I think, for people to hear. We look at you when we're in the audience and we look at you on stage and we only see courage, and we only, everyone that shows up to a performance, they walk in the room rooting for you, right?
Yeah,
There's no, but from your perspective, all you feel is vulnerability. You don't see that as courage right off the bat, right?
no,
And
not
so
at all.
it's such an interesting dichotomy
Mhm.
between where you end and we start and all of that. And so are you ready to kind of set that down and just be like, I'm fucking badass?
I want to set it down, it just because, and this is the other thing, like the shield of singing somebody else's music. So like I sang
Sure.
called Shiny Ribs for
Yes.
years.
He's
Yeah,
been on the show. He's so lovely. I love Kevin.
Kevin is a cool, cool cat, but it became abundantly clear that if I was gonna have a music career in the tech company and the nonprofit, that I wasn't gonna be able to do Shiny Ribs because Kevin is a working man. That kid,
Busy. Yes.
he tours at least 3 or 4 times a year, and my schedule has just gotten crazy. But even then, I was doing cover music because it's his songs, it's not my
Mhm.
song. So I feel there's a level of vulnerability that I still have, that I'm
Sure.
like, if they hate this music, what am I gonna do? But so far they have not hated it. They've liked it. And
Hmm.
I'll say I'm a badass when, like, you know, my mom says it's music. She's like, you're still doing that thing you do? Like, are you making money from that? I'm like, yeah, I have for like 30 years, but thanks. It is still.
Parents and kids, like they have no idea. Like I have two kids too, and like I used to be an actor, and
Yeah.
I've been on some things that are, pretty big, and they're like, "Oh, you were?" I'm like, "Yeah, you've heard this story. You've seen the photos, you've seen the commercial, you've seen the movie." Like, and they're still like the most unimpressed.
Yes, completely
Like,
unimpressed.
I gave you life, and I
Right.
had a whole life before you took your first breath.
I mean, the sheer pushing you out. Are you kidding me? I created life. Are
I mean,
you
I have video from that actually just show.
right? Give me my kudos, kid. Yeah, no, I get it. I get
Yeah,
it.
it's so funny. It's like goodness. Um, oh my goodness. So okay, good. I feel like perhaps it's good to kind of always keep a little bit of that, right? Like I don't think you ever want to get to the place where you're just like, because then you would just be cocky and whatever. So I think it's good to always have a little bit of that. But you are so talented and you so deserve to be up on that stage.
Thank
You
you.
really, really do. And so I want to just transfer as much, you know, courage and chip away at that vulnerability and that feeling like imposter syndrome or any of that kind of BS, like as much as I possibly can. You are so talented and you deserve to let people see you. And I want you to feel like that like you know that people need to see who you are and see you have so much to offer. It's nuts. You
Thank
know what I mean? I feel like you have so much to say from
you.
this life that you have lived and the way that you have chosen to live it. That's a really cool perspective. And I'm sure that's in your music that's coming to our ears, Like, I want that. I want that in my ears. So give us the gift,
Yeah. Thank
you
you for
know?
saying that. I appreciate it because
Yeah,
I'm like, there are so many. So I've written over 250 songs, God, if you can believe that. And
dude.
like, I was just like, what songs are going to be on this album? My friend was like, listen, if you can't feel it anymore, catalog that and give it to somebody else to bring into the world. Just
Yeah.
only what it brings you joy and brings you happiness. And you feel like if you got a message in a song, or if you just feel like you want to get some shit out and get some shit off your chest, that is what you should do. I mean, I literally, okay, quick story. So I was just in LA and my friend David Ramirez was playing at the Hotel Cafe in LA.
Yeah.
And he put up a post on Facebook. He was just like, hey, LA peeps, I'm gonna be at blah blah blah. And I was like, I'm gonna be there at the same time. So we got to see each other. And I mean, the second I heard David's voice, I was just like in love. It's just
So good.
game over because
Kind of
his voice,
ridiculous.
it's haunting. It's so good. And I just remember hearing his voice and saying, that's somebody that I want to work with. I want to understand that he still gets the power of his gift, you know, because he uses it so well. And he's like, you
Mhm.
know, I mean, you feel like you've had an experience when you go to his shows.
Yeah.
So he said in his show, he says, I just recently fell back in love with music. And
Mm.
I was like, whoa, you know, because he's been doing this. He's been a live musician, you know, full time for 15 years. And just the hustle of it can take that away from you.
Yeah, I bet.
When he said that, and I'm standing there and like tears are welling up in my eyes because I'm just like, and you have the nerve to not even put yours out because you're afraid of what people will think. If it's in you, someone needs it, you know, like what he said in that moment. I was just like, I needed to hear that. And I need to provide it, then take the opportunity to really connect with people that might be experiencing abuse or might be experiencing, you know, the imposter syndrome, like even just having a bad day. I want to be that person. I want to put a smile on their face or just give them a warm hug with my voice.
Yes. Because I mean, think about it. Like, I don't know, but I assume you're fairly similar to me. And music is the first, ever since I was a little kid, I spun my records on a little blue record player.
Mhm.
You know, I had kind of a tough childhood, and that was I'd sit in my closet,
Yeah.
hide in my closet and play my records. And that is where I went
Yep.
to pick out feelings, to hear someone sing about something that I could sink my teeth into and go, hey, yeah, I know that too. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so think about all that you have inside to offer to people. There should not be one moment of hesitation to share that with us. I am so excited for you to
I walk
walk.
into every room like that though. Okay. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna give this speech. Oh gosh. Do these people still want to hear what I have to say? I'm just neurotic that way. And I'm just,
Yeah.
but when I'm up there, it's like a totally thing. I turn all of that off. Like all of that is silence the second I open my mouth. I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm dancing or if I'm acting, if I'm speaking, like that all goes away because I go back to that
Because you
moment.
do know. Yeah. You do know that this is what you're meant to be doing.
Yeah,
I
it
love it.
is.
What kind of kid were you growing up?
Oh girl, I got a picture. So my friend was like, "What kind of kid was Courtney?" And I was just like, this is it." I mean, from the beginning. Like, for example, I put my cousin in a dryer. Back in the day, you could put something in the dryer and close the door just enough and it would still tumble. So I
Yeah.
was like, let's test this with my cousin Dwayne. Dwayne, get in the dryer. And I closed the door and he tumbled around for like 30, 45 seconds. It was great. And he's a Air Force pilot today. So I know
Trained him. You trained
I
him for G
did.
forces. He owes you. He's like, hey, I kind of like this.
He's like, gosh, I kind of owe you. Like, give me part of your pension because literally without me, you would not be Air Force. You would not be flying the F whatever 14, whatever they call it. You wouldn't be doing that. Anyways, no, that was my personality. I'm very like, I guess when I was younger, I didn't know a stranger. I would just I'm becoming more introverted as I get older, but when I was in, I mean, up until probably about 10 years ago, I was just like, and I would meet people. I didn't leave places without knowing two or three people in the spot. Super, I'm a humor kid. I love jokes. I have a joke book. My mom, it's like 40 years old. And I would go walking around with this joke book and I would tell people jokes all the time. Yeah.
I love it. So yeah,
Yeah,
you're consistent.
consistently just out of control. Yeah, I would just go around telling people the jokes in this book, and I would danced with a dance company in Massachusetts for several years. So I've always been in the arts. My dad is a painter and a sculptor, or he was. He used to paint and sculpt, and my mom, she's just super straight laced. She's the thing that kept us together. So she's like, these people are out of control. Hold it down, She's like the right brain, where all their left brains were in circles. But yeah.
I love it. Did you sing as a kid, or when did you know like, hey, I'm good at singing, and hey, I think I'm can stand on a stage and not be
Yeah.
afraid?
Well, it's funny. In high school, I was in dance and I was in band. I did every other club. I was in student council. I did all this. Never thought about choir, never thought to sing, nothing. Until a friend of mine heard me singing in the car, and she was just like, you should sing our senior song at graduation. I'm gonna make that happen. And I was like, how are you gonna make that happen? Because I guess I sang the song. It's Hard to Say Goodbye by Boyz II Men. I'm aging myself right now, like
No,
big.
we might be the same. I'm 47. Do you
Okay.
sing?
Yeah, I'm 49.
Okay,
So
perfect. I
yeah.
mean, did we not grow up at the best time
Of music.
for
Yes.
music as
Yes.
far as hitting us in our grades? Like, I
Yes.
mean, I would wear like men's button-up shirts with ties and
Yeah.
parachute pants when I was really young. So weird. And like my family's not like that. But I'm like, I need some ties.
She's
I
a
need some
fashionista.
menswear.
I need my menswear for
Yeah.
sure.
Then it was like
Yeah.
Madonna, but like all the music, I just feel like with MTV and HBO and the box sat on top of the TV, I feel like it hit me all at the right ages, and the music.
Yeah. It's
Boys.
Mariah, it was Whitney, it was,
Oh,
I mean, my high school years, those 4 years, it was Garth Brooks, it was Vince Gill, it was Nirvana, like all of those amazing bands, Hootie and the Blowfish, all of them were like when I was coming out of high school. So like I didn't think I could sing, and they were like, yeah, you're gonna sing. So I sang It's Hard to Say Goodbye at my senior class at graduation.
perfect song choice, by the way.
Yes, thank you, thank you. So I sang that song, and then I didn't sing again for several years until I got to college. No, well, I went to college and I sang with this group, the Longhorn Singers at University of Texas, because I was like, needed an elective and I didn't want to play my flute anymore.
I
So I
play
decided
flute.
I was
Oh my
gonna sing.
gosh.
Yeah, I mean, nerd. Anyway, so I didn't
Yeah.
sing. I didn't play my flute anymore. I was like, I'm gonna hang it up. And I started singing. And then I started doing theater work in Austin, and I did a bunch of plays at Zach Scott Theater. I did Dream Girls,
Yeah, you
Porgy.
did. Yeah, I saw that list.
Yeah, I did a
Impressive.
bunch of stuff there. And then this guy was like, hey, have you ever been in a band? And I was like, no. And they were like, well, you want to be in a band? And I was like,
Sure.
sure. Here I am 20 years later singing. So it just kind of ebbs and flows, whatever I'm feeling. But yeah, I didn't start singing until I was almost a full ass adult.
Wow. I feel like
Yeah.
you and I are kind of built the same. I feel like, yeah, your life makes sense to me. I get that.
Good. You're probably one of the only people that understands it, because
I
I'm
really do. Yeah, like I really get it. Like I love kind of that experience of just sort of like letting things find you and trying things and going, okay, yeah, I'm gonna like I grew up in a very like you work at the same factory for 35, 40 years and then you retire in a pension and it's like, boring. I can't, I could never do that. So, and I was always the weird one, obviously. And
well, we
so,
were together because I'm
yeah, but I love it. Like I think it's much more exciting way to live. And
it
I can
is.
do a lot of different things.
Especially when you're just like, damn it, anything that I put my mind to, I'm gonna be able to live from. That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
And I
And
want to
how
encourage my kids to do the same thing. I tell them that all the time.
Yeah. Curious about your personality in the sense of, there's usually, I always wanted to write a book called Two Kinds of People and just have like a coffee book. Like, there's people this and there's people that. Like, but typically my experience with people is like, you're either kind of like me, I'm not a perfectionist. It doesn't have to be perfect. This show came live and I was building the plane while I was flying it. And I'm totally fine with that.
That's right.
Totally comfortable.
Yeah.
Or you have like the people that really have to read and study and get it perfect before they, take that first step. What camp do you fall into? I feel like I know, but
You already know, because
okay.
I fly by the seat of my pants like it's a normal thing. And that's why I was telling, it was like, have you ever seen the movie Independence Day? Is it Independence
With
Day?
Will Smith?
No,
No.
no, no. It's Day After Tomorrow. Have you seen Day After Tomorrow?
Well, who's in that?
Jake Gyllenhaal is in it, and it talks about him in New York on a class trip, and that's when like this big ass hurricane that nobody knew was coming, which is kind of crazy.
It's kind of weird.
And it starts the next ice age, right?
Oh, no, I've not seen that.
It's a good movie. Watch. It's a must see. So like the guy, okay, so they're on this class trip. I don't understand why they planned this class trip before this ice age started, but whatever. They're in the museum, and it starts happening, and they were watching all the old, like the homeless people on the street, and they were just like, it's no big deal. I sleep on the streets all the time. Like
Yeah.
they were just making such a big deal out of this stuff that this guy was like, I eat out of the trash all the time. I do this all the time. And that's how I feel. I feel like any obstacle you're going to run into, you got the skills to deal with it. You just have to like sit back for a second and say, okay, what in my wheelhouse do I have to deal with this particular situation? And I can deal with it. Because you're gonna, like you said, you had a rough childhood, as did I. And I think that those are the things that make me resourceful and resilient. And
Yes.
allow me to be that example for somebody else. If you ain't been through shit, I really don't want to know you. I need to know you by your scars. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I
Yes. I feel
don't
like
want
there is a
to.
possibility for us to have a full-on conversation that's probably like a little too much for people, but
Let's go. Let's
I
go.
want to go have dinner with you and really
Okay,
dive
I'm
in.
down.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. All of that is so true for me in the way that I live my life too. And I think it's just it's one thing to be that person like that has the scars. It's another thing to be the person that has done enough work to be able to openly live with their stuff and be vocal about it, like you, like
Yeah.
me, like and then take that extra step or two steps to really use it to help people, and in that kind of fierceness in being vocal about it. I love that lane. I
Yeah.
really do. I think that you're the perfect person to kind of be doing what you're doing with what you carry and what you bring to the table and to the conversation. It's very exciting to now know who you are, to be able to watch you and go like, yeah, I know what she's doing, like it's just very exciting to have another person in my life to be like, yeah, this one you got to watch, and really like feel like I'm going to learn a lot from you from
Yeah,
watching.
you can't see this. And I have a feeling that you and we would like, you're the friend that like, if we're sitting at a dinner party and some nonsense is going on and I see it, I can look directly at you and you're thinking the same thing.
Oh, for sure.
Like, it's not even like it's it's nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
I think hearts connect when you meet people and you just know, oh, I'm just gonna have the best time with this person, and I can be transparent, and I can just be, this is me all the time. Like for the
Same.
most part, I don't know how to change according to room, but I do know how to, man, I can like temper it, but
For
for the
sure.
most
I mean, I can behave, but
yeah,
I do the same thing. Like, and this is why I want to have conversations like this. And this is why I wanted to make this show, is because I don't have a list of questions for you. I really
yeah,
don't. I don't even have very much written down at all. I really just want to sit in the seat of curiosity, and I really am genuinely interested in who you actually are,
no, thank
not who your persona needs to be. I mean, we could talk about that too, but it's very interesting to me to just talk to who you are and talk this way. So I love that you're down with it. Most people are down with it to varying degrees.
you. I mean, why would I send my representative?
Right. Yes.
She's off. She's off. She's been off for a little bit now. I don't know if everybody likes that, but she's been off for a minute. So
Yeah, no, I prefer it that way. Um, how do you, in this kind of, you're juggling a lot, you have two children. How old are they?
Oh, my kids are old. My daughter, well, they're not old. I will say this though. I like this. So we go places and they think that they're my siblings and not my children.
Well,
Hey.
because you look like you're 25.
Well, my daughter's 25.
But you seriously,
Yeah,
you look
yeah.
you look good.
Thank you, baby. I appreciate it. Yeah,
Yeah.
my daughter's 25 and my son's 23.
Oh my gosh. Okay, talk about like how do you, because that's, you have a lot to balance. How do you take care of yourself? What's yourself, what are your disciplines for just like in a typical day or week or month or whatever, just what are your tenets and foundational things that you use?
This is where I'm working on my life, and this is I don't take enough time for myself. And I know that it seems like, oh, well, your career and this and that. That's not really taking time for myself. I'm
Mm.
actually in a learning pattern to, number one, feel worthy enough to take the time off and to rest and to relax. Because I mean, even like I found myself when I'm supposed to be relaxing, I'm checking my Instagram or I'm checking my emails, or if I'm not on my phone checking texts, then somebody's going to be disappointed in me. And I just I'm getting, can I say the F word?
Yes, please. I love it. It's my favorite word.
I'm fucking over it. I'm over that shit. I'm so over it. It's not even funny. I'm sitting here in the middle of Italy and it's like gorgeous and the Italian men are walking by. Ciao, ciao, ciao. And I'm sitting there trying to send a wire over to like my executive director so she could pay my staff. Like I couldn't have just done that before
Hmm.
I left so I could truly enjoy myself. So my ability to give up control over things and my ability to
Just like,
say,
can I just, you're
it's
talking
a
to
therapy session.
yourself.
Come on,
Yeah,
girl.
but no, I need to hear
Stop it.
all of this because
Right.
shocker, I'm the same.
Well, that's when I had somebody tell me, he said, you know what, the reason you don't have time for yourself is because you're trying to control everything.
Yeah.
And maybe if you were just to say, I trust this person with this, and they're going to do a great task because a great job because they want you to be happy with how they do this task. And then if it's not what you want, then you can always go back and fix it. But there's nothing is so important that you got to be manning the ship all the time. And that's why your ass is tired. And that's why you're frustrated all the damn time. Just okay. If it doesn't go well, then sometimes things they don't go well because they're not supposed to go well. And in
Right.
the long grand scheme of things, you look back and you go, thank
Okay.
God that didn't go the way I wanted it to go, because had that happened,
Uh-huh.
that would have been a whole other situation. Like this braid right here, I know the reason why it's just fucking with me. So I'm just gonna go like this. And hopefully it's not gonna come back to the other side of my head.
We'll see if it travels.
Hopefully it travels back over. It's fucking with my
Like,
hair
no,
so
no,
much.
no, no.
Yeah, and by the time it'll be like this. Yeah. That was the only thing I could see. Look, another was trying to escape. Yeah, I have to learn that self-care thing. I've been trying to take better care of myself, say no to more things, because I used to be the yes machine where you'd ask me to do something and I would do it, but then I would just be resentful and tired. And I'm an Aries by nature, so I'm a fire sign, and I go in there and I get things done, but then I get pissed off when things don't turn out the way I wanted them to turn out, after all my efforts. So I'm
Yeah.
learning to just kind of sit back in the cut a bit and watch things develop.
So let's talk a little bit about, because that's all great and I'm right there with you.
Mhm.
What are some practical things that you're doing to catch yourself in the moment? Because I think that's a valuable thing for people to actually hear. Like it's great to talk about what we want to do, and same with me. But what do you have any little like tricks? Do you have a rubber band around your wrist and you snap it every time you catch yourself checking your email? Or like, do you know what I mean? Like, do you have any practical things that you actually go, nope, this is what I'm doing? And like to move from trying to doing, right? That's always what for me in my life, every time I catch myself saying I'm trying to do that, I go, nope, I'm either doing it or I'm
Right.
not doing it.
That's
That's
right.
the only place I want to exist. And
Right.
I try to keep myself I do keep myself accountable. Um,
I'm
as
trying to keep, I
as
mean, I am.
I know, as much as possible. See, I mean, it's very
Yeah.
easy to slip into that. Do you have
Yeah.
any hard, fast things that you have kind of solved or figured out for yourself in that way?
I've, yeah, I've figured out that there are times that I am just going to disappoint people.
Hmm.
And
And
I
that's
have to
okay.
be okay with that. Yeah. Because it's never about the condition of my heart, because the condition of my heart is constant. I know that at the end of the day, Kat, I want the best for everybody and I want everybody to win. I could, like, if I saw you on the side of the road, chances are I would try to stop if what was going on with you was not impeding me in the past. Like, if before I would have stopped, we would have been there for 30 minutes. I would have done all the things. And now I'm realizing that the condition of my heart, my body, like my body has a time clock. Eventually, I'm not gonna have the energy, the health, or the ability to do all the things that I want to do for myself and for my family. So the ability to say no and understand that I'm going to disappoint people sometimes, I have to be okay with that. I mean, that's childhood trauma shit that I'm dealing with.
Yes.
It's me prioritizing my health and my well-being above other people. And it's caused me to just look at that calendar and say, you don't need to do that. When Kevin and I talked about shiny ribs, and he was just like, I'm worried about you. You're doing so much. And it made me think, I was just like, I am doing so much. I'm doing too much,
Too much. Yeah.
too much. And like I would, the band would leave and I would drive in my car for 6 hours to get to wherever they were going, that they rode all in the van together with, and then I would
Right.
get back in the car and drive home by myself. And they didn't like that condition. I didn't like it either, but I didn't want to disappoint someone. And at the end of the day, I think them worrying about me was more stressful than me just saying, no, this is probably a good idea for me to just start to prioritize what's important to me and what I can do with the limited time I have left on this earth. Like Jennifer Lewis says, she says, I have only so many summers to give you. I got about 40 more summers if I do this
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. I think also what's really supportive to that in my life, and maybe this is true for you, is I love people to have people around me that I know through testing that and proving that they give me the benefit of the doubt. Like
Yes.
that's a really big thing that I look for in friends, partners, whatever. Just like I built that with my children. Know my heart, like you're saying, that the state of your heart, like for people to know my heart well enough to
Yeah.
know that I like they give me the benefit of the doubt. So if I say no, or if I can't please them, because I have that too, that kind of pleasing thing, because it's a
Mhm.
self-worth thing, of course.
Yes.
um Surrounding myself with people that I trust on a heart level
Mhm.
is really, really key to start of like building up that muscle in our lives. And then when we get a nice, strong history of being able to do that and have boundaries and do it in a loving way, you can say no in a loving way. Then you can do that with strangers and people that don't have a heart relationship, right? It gets easier. But it's really
Yeah.
good to practice with people that give you the benefit of the doubt, that know your heart, like you're saying. I think is really good. It's a
It's
good
a
place to start.
muscle. You got to build it
You
because,
do.
I mean, especially if you are like us, where we are, afraid to disappoint, we don't build that muscle up strong and people take advantage.
Yeah.
And you absolutely have to have that crew around you that when Courtney says no, there has to really be a good reason why she's saying no, because she doesn't do that. Like that's not,
Right.
she's not a selfish person. And I'm not saying selfish is a bad thing because I had a conversation about that too, but
Yeah.
she's not one that wouldn't give you the shirt off her back if she couldn't. She has a very good reason for that. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Good. Let's see. Can we see you perform anywhere around soon in
Yes.
Austin?
I'm actually, so my latest thing, I actually won, I've been, ooh, when is this airing? It's after the 20,
23rd, I think we said. Yeah, you're airing on the 23rd.
okay, I am up for a Sonic Guild grant. So hopefully by then I will know if I won it or not.
Yay! I love Sonic Guild. That's
Yes.
wonderful.
Yeah, so I'm doing some of their shows. I do one this weekend. And then I think I am at Monk's Jazz Club on the 27th of May, the 7:30 show. And then I'm at Parker Jazz Club in June on the 29th. I'm spacing out these gigs because I'm really trying to get this album done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got to be in the studio and performing there. And then I am going to Italy for the month of, oh wait, no, I'm performing in Nashville with some of my Nashville friends, the 1st through the 7th of June.
Nice.
And yeah, and then
And
I'm going
then,
to Italy for a month to perform. I'm gonna do my first Italian tour in July.
oh my gosh. Have you ever been there? You've been there, no?
Yeah, I went last year actually. I went to Verona and Milan. Then I had a great time. So I'm excited about this. I have a 6-city tour in Italy in July.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I've spent some time there. It's so wonderful.
It is. I am so Italian. My girlfriend told me she used to play Tina Turner in the Tina Turner musical in London.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she goes, everywhere you go in Europe, you gotta buy something and just when you get home, they'll be like, oh, that's cute. And I'll be like, oh, it's just a little something I picked up in Italy. I love her for that. I was like, you are bougie as fuck, but that's amazing. And so that's why I like going to Italy because they have all these cute little places to go shopping, and I can tell
I
me
know.
all the
Okay,
little things I picked up in Italy.
with your brain, rogue brain.
Yeah, I picked it up and then in Italy. Good Lord. With my Target shopping behind. Listen, I know where to get. I shop at Target here so I can buy the cute shit in Italy. That's what
Hey,
it is.
sometimes Target has cool things. I
They
have
really
worn things
do.
people have been like, what? And I've been like, Target.
Oh, Target. They have
Accessorize, dress it up, dress it down. Yeah.
absolutely during Black History Month, they had like all of these awesome Black designers, and all the clothes were like electric green and pink and
Ooh.
hot pink and stuff. It was so I bought like 6 outfits. Target be like they be hitting sometimes. So
Yes, I yeah, kind of don't want everyone to know about it, Courtney.
okay, wait. Can you edit that out? We're not. Don't go to Target. Excessive.
Target.
Oh, Target sucks.
Oh, I can't wait to see you in person. We definitely need to hang out. I feel like there's a lot of things for us to talk about, but thank you so much for coming by and hanging out with. I can't believe an hour with you goes by so fast. It's gonna be so fun in person. Like
It
7
is
hours
like
later.
just plan for 2 or 3 hours because you sit there and you're just like, dang, like the sun rose like set while we were sitting here. It's pretty.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to promote this conversation with you and push out your music and let people know about it. And I'm just consider me as one of the engines behind your train.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Epiphanies of a Butterfly is the name of my album, and it's coming out in April of 2024 on my birthday, April 17th.
Awesome.
Yeah,
My daughter's an Aries too. I know you, Aries.
honey. And my son's an Aries, and we were just like, I love you. I love you. Yeah, it's crazy. My daughter's an Aquarius, and I'm just
I'm
like,
Aquarius.
really? What day? What day?
January 29th.
Okay, she's February 11th. She was supposed to be born on Valentine's Day, and she is such an Aquarian.
What do you mean by that?
She's very free spirited. She's very, what's the word? What's the word?
I don't know. What is the word, Courtney?
She's very free spirited and she's very opinionated. She's a strong person. And a lot of the things that when I tell Kendall things, she's pragmatic. She's very like nonsense about it. She gets to the heart of the matter pretty quickly.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that we both have Aries Aquarius energy happening.
Yeah, everybody in my family is in the Aries. Aries or an Aquarius, really. My mom's the only Taurus, and she's
Well,
like,
I feel like she should be to kind of just really just, I feel like
yeah,
she needs to
balance it all
be.
out. Yeah, I just gotta balance all this bullshit out for real, because it's a lot. It's a whole lot.
This episode's dedicated to your mom. All she's had to put up with.
Yeah, this is for Pookie.
Poor Pookie.
That's what we call her, Pookie.
Uh,
Pookie, Pookie.
I love it. I love it. Courtney Santana, I'm so excited for music to come out. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
stopping by. We will see you soon in person. And
Yes.
yay.
Yay. Let me know when you're ready. I'm ready to go.
I love it. I'm going to catch you before Italy.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. For sure. I'll text you.
All right. That does it for another episode of the Austin Downbeat. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Courtney, for coming on. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.